Uverse TV.
The following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Black Hawks. We are Southwest.
As most Ranger fans know, the last few seasons, the Ranger offense has changed from waiting on the three-run home run to an offense based on aggressive base running and timely hitting. This is not to say a home run is not appreciated every now and then. This is Texas, and Ranger fans still do dig the long ball. Tonight, Texas tries to ignite the 4th of July fireworks a little bit early. They take on the Seattle Mariners next on Fox Sports Southwest. It is a very pleasant evening here on this Tuesday night in early July at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. The temperature is down, the humidity is down, and the Rangers are up as they get ready to start a three-game series with the Seattle Mariners. Everyone, along with Tom Green, Steve Bugby, glad you could join us. And the Rangers are hot, and this is a very fitting time of the month of July to be hot over the 4th. And they take on the Mariners, who have also been playing pretty good baseball. But, Tom, the Rangers have somebody tonight in the starter for the Rangers, Justin Grimm, who has been very good against Seattle.
He has, Buzz. You know, Justin's the kid that came out of spring training. Probably didn't have a great chance to make the team coming out of spring training, but here we are right before the All-Star break. He's won 7 ball games. Sure, with a young starter, there's been some inconsistencies, but he has pitched well against Seattle. He's 2-0 against them. His ERA is solid. He's won his last 2 starts, one against Oakland, one against the New York Yankees. So the Rangers are obviously in a pennant race. He's a young pitcher getting his feet wet at the major league level in a pennant race. It doesn't get much better than that if you're Justin Grimm.
Well, the Rangers have a lot of young guys that are going through it for the first time, and they've acquitted themselves very well so far. Justin Grimm among them. Leonard Martin also has gotten things going. A 14-game hitting streak that he brings into this ball game. We'll have the starting lineups in the first pitch for you, the Rangers and the Mariners, right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. your Texas Ford dealer. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealer. By AT&T Uverse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PICK-ATT. Rethink possible. And by Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. Well, a very delightful evening here at Rangers Ballpark. Before we get things underway, let's go down to the field where Dana Larson is standing by. Dana?
Buzz, through the highs and lows of Justin Grimm's first 14 major league starts, there is one thing that stands out more than any other to his manager.
Thing about Grimm is he's a competitor. He goes out there and he competes, and sometimes, you know, the game may start moving a little fast for him, but one thing you can guarantee, he's going to be out there fighting, and that's all I want him to do is continue to fight. And he's fought good enough to get him 7 wins, and he's fought good enough to win some games for us, and he's fought good enough to still be here. So don't stop fighting.
Ron Washington with our Geico quote of the game. Yes, his ERA has gone up each month, but so has his win total. A win tonight would be his 8th, Buzz, matching him with Yu Darvish for the team lead, guys.
All right, Dana, thank you. Yeah, it has been an interesting ride so far for Justin Grimm, the 24-year-old right-hander out of Virginia. And he gets his 4th start of the year against these Seattle Mariners. And here's the Eric Wedge lineup that will face Justin Grimm tonight. Andy Chavez leads off. He's in right field. Nick Franklin, the second baseman, is next. Raul Ibanez in left field. The cleanup hitters, the DH, Kendricks Morales. Kyle Seager bats 5th, plays third base. Then it's Justin Smoke. Dustin Ackley, the start in center field tonight. Hitting 8th and catching, Mike Zunino. And Brad Miller, the shortstop, bats 9th.
We'll look at the Budweiser scouting report for Justin Grimm. Before the All-Star break, he's won 7 ball games. Not too bad for a youngster in his first big league season. Wednesday against the Yankees, he won for the 2nd time in a row. 5 innings, no walks, and 4 strikeouts. Among American League rookies, his 62 strikeouts is tops. And he's had a couple of inconsistencies, maybe a couple of games he'd like to forget, but more often than not, he's done exactly what Wash has said. He's battled, he's kept the team in the ball game, and in his last 2 starts, he's beaten Oakland and he's beaten the Yankees. That's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad at all, as a matter of fact. Do pretty good if you're going to hang your hat on something. That'd be a good place to start it. So Grimm with that 5.56 earned run average, trying to bring that down as he faces the Mariners. And old friend of ours, Andy Chavez, will lead things off. The Mariners, again, struck by a few injuries. They've had a bit of a changeover, as you can tell by the starting lineup, since the last time we saw them. That was almost 2 months ago. Chavez, a .272 hitter, and Grimm fires a fastball for high for ball 1. Andy, a couple of home runs, 11 driven in. Had a pair of doubles yesterday against the Cubs, and you can see that tied his career high. There's a good fastball, knee high, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Now with Chavez up there, his good speed, Adrian Beltre has to play in at the cut of the grass at third. Grimm to the wind, and the pitch fouled back. Good fastball there, and the count moves to 1-2. 85 degrees at game time. Yeah, this is the 2nd day of July in North Texas. That is unheard of.
You know, it's pretty bad, Buzz, when in July we have to open the windows because it's too cold in our booth.
Chavez shoots it foul down the left side.
Usually we wait until about a minute before game time to open those windows.
Yeah, we could have hung a side of beef in here earlier, it felt like.
It was a little chilly.
That's okay. I'll take this. Again, the 1-2. Over the mound, over second base. A quick throw by Andrews, and Elvis guns down Chavez for the first out. Nice play by Elvis Andrews. So we'll take a look at the rest of the Ranger defense tonight. David Murphy, Leonis Martin, and Nelly Cruz left, center, and right. Moreland at first, Kinsler at second. You saw Elvis at short. Adrian Beltre at third. A.J. Brzezinski is catching. Justin Grimm on the hill. Umpiring crew this evening: Chad Fairchild calling the balls and strikes. Marty Foster at first. Eric Cooper at second. Paul Schreiber is down at third. Eric Cooper, by the way, the crew chief of this quartet. Nick Franklin was not with the club the last time we saw the Mariners. Brought up to play second base, and he's been doing, by all accounts, a great job. You saw the .295 average. He has done everything that the Mariners could want, or could have expected, I guess you could say, when they called him up. Good breaking ball from Grimm, and he's ahead of the count now, 1-2. Franklin, 4 home runs, 15 driven in. See the last 4 ball games. Yes, you could say as a Mariner, he's gotten his sea legs underneath him. Chopper right back to Grimm. Little underhand toss to Moreland. That is out number 2. Well, a couple of ground balls for Justin Grimm. That's always a good sign.
Good start for Justin. A couple of good curveballs that he kept down. The Yankees. 5 innings, he was pitching great. Against the Yankees, he gave up an infield hit, then he gave up a double. Came out of that game. Both of those runs would score. He'd only given up 1 through 5 innings, but those 2 runs made it 3 runs in 5 innings. And then against the A's in the 5th inning, he gave up a home run to Chris Young, a 3-run homer that kind of clouded what had been 4 shutout innings prior to that. So see if he can take it a little bit deeper into the game today.
1-1 the count to Raul Ibanez. Saw the numbers. Ibanez 2 out of 5 in his appearances against Justin Grimm. Right-hander's 1-1 pitch. Came up and in with a fastball. That's 2 fastballs now that he's worked off the plate to Ibanez inside. Against Texas over the years, 18 home runs. And that ball's hit well to right field. Cruz is going back at the track, at the wall. That ball's gone. Ibanez with his 20th home run of the year, and he has given the Mariners a 1-0 lead against Justin Grimm here in the 1st inning.
If there's one pitch that seems to hurt Justin as much as any pitch, it's his changeup. And that was a changeup to Ibanez that he got up in the strike zone. And Ibanez, who's been hot, has already hit as many home runs before the All-Star break as he hit in the last any of the last 3 years.
Well, the Mariners with their 94th home run of the year. That ball getting up into the 2nd row of seats before it bounced back onto the field. Kendrys Morales, the hitter, and he fouls one off to the left. 1 ball and 1 strike. Morales, the DH tonight. 277 the average for the switch hitter. 2nd on the team with those 42 runs batted in. And he hits one deep to right. If that's fair, it's gone. And that ball is in the seats. Ibanez and Morales back-to-back home runs against Grimm. And the Mariners lead 2-0.
Well, one was a changeup up and out over the plate. That was a fastball up and in to Morales. Probably not even a strike. But he didn't have any trouble with it. There's no doubt about that. I guess off the bat you wondered if it would be fair. Now let's see where that pitch was. Pitch is up. I guess that's probably not the pitch that you would expect to see hit out of the ballpark. But Morales did.
Well, Morales with his 10th home run of the year. The Mariners with that 2-0 lead. And the first pitch to Kyle Seager is low and inside for ball 1. Seager 3 for 9 against Grimm. 268 the average overall. Slow hook. And that catches the strike zone. It's 1-1. Grimm to the wind, and back to the plate he comes. Just a little bit outside. It's 2-1. Grimm now has given up at least 1 home run in 6 straight ball games. All 5 starts in the month of June, and the first one here in July.
And 13 now on the season. Definitely plagued him a little bit, the home run ball.
3-1 to Seegers. That fastball is high. There's a line drive to right. That's going to settle in for a base hit. Well, two very quick outs on ground balls, and then boom. Home run to Ibanez, home run to Morales, single for Seager, and Justin Smoke coming to the plate. Mike Maddox out to talk to the young right-hander along with A.J. Pierzynski. Heard Ron Washington talking about the game getting a little bit speeded up at times for Justin Grimm, and Mike Maddox out there to see if he can't slow it down for him a little bit, focus a little bit better on just the task at hand, and that would be to make a good first pitch to Smoke. The 1-on, 2-out. Justin Smoke, who has been swinging a much better bat of late. 245 the average. Got Seager at first and 2 outs. Justin Smoke, former Ranger, a switch hitter. Hitting with Seager on first, being held on by Mitch Moreland. Grimm, a long set. Now the pitch to Smoke. It's outside. 1 ball, no strikes. 23 of the last 28 ball games for Smoke has been on base. 6 home runs, 13 driven in. Takes a strike to even things at 1-1. Grimm okays the sign, the right-hander. Back to the plate. 2-1 the count as the breaking ball missed.
The Mariners have a lot of young players as position players in this game. They have 4 former #1 draft choices, 3rd-round draft choice, a 2nd-round draft choice. A lot of high draft choices in their lineup. They're hoping that they all develop into the kind of players they were projected to become when they were drafted. Obviously, Justin Smoke is one of them. He was the 11th pick in the 1st round of the draft by the Rangers not too long ago. Eric Wedge, the manager, has the task of developing these young players. Really, how they develop is going to determine what kind of team the Mariners become over the next few years.
Yeah.
They've kind of pretty much tied their wagon to these young players.
And you're right, Tom. They develop at the major league level, which is not always the easiest thing to do. But
no, it's not.
Mariners have gone that way. 2-2 the count to Smoke. Chopper to the right side. Kinsley. It's a chest-high hop onto first, and that'll do it. The Mariners make some 2-out noise. A couple of home runs, 3 hits, and 2 runs in the inning. Rangers coming to bat in the bottom of the first, trailing 2-0. ever come to bat. The Rangers starting lineup tonight, delivered by DeMontron RV. Ian Kinsler leads off. Elvis Andrus bats second. Nelly Cruz is in third place. Batting cleanup, Adrian Beltre. A.J. Brzezinski bats fifth and catches. Mitch Moreland is at first. Jurickson Profar, the DH, bats seventh. David Murphy is in left. Batting ninth, the center fielder, Leonis Martin.
Pitching for the Mariners, Joe Saunders. Look at a little scouting report for him. 5-8 on the season. His ERA is around 5. 7 career starts in this ballpark. He's lost all 7 of them with an ERA close to 10. His last start was against the Pirates. Didn't get out of the second inning in that start. He gave up 6 earned runs, 3 home runs. But prior to that game against the Pirates, he was pitching very well. In fact, in 5 starts prior to that, his ERA was under 2.
And the first pitch to Ian Kinsler is high for ball 1.
He's a left-hander that depends on command. His fastball is sometimes about average. He's got a real good changeup, good curveball. Needs to put the ball where he wants to.
Ian, a line drive caught by the shortstop, Brad Miller, going 3 quick steps to his left. So Kinsler hard out to begin things here tonight. Let's take a look at the rest of the Mariner defense. You have Ibanez, Ackley, and Chavez left, center, and right. Smoke at first, Franklin and Miller up the middle. Seager at third, Zunino behind the plate, and Joe Saunders on the hill.
Well, we talked about Ian in the pregame show, how well he has done against Saunders. Hitting over 300 with 4 home runs against him, 10 hits and 4 home runs. Right off the bat in his first at bat, he hit a line drive. Unfortunately, instead of his 11th hit against Saunders, it went right to the shortstop.
Elvis Andrus takes a knee-high strike. It's 0-1. Elvis at 243. And the off-speed pitch catches the bottom of the zone. It's 0-2. Elvis 28 RBI. He and Ian Kinsler at the top of the order, still trying to get untracked together. Ian's been having a few problems lately, and Elvis is starting to get things back together. When Ian was hot, Elvis was struggling a bit. So once they get in sync, they're going to be the normal force that the Rangers expect at the top of that order. 1-2 pitch, and the fastball tails away. It's 2-2 now. Saunders to the wind, the left-hander deals, and it's 3-2. So Elvis trying to get aboard here to get the inning going with 1 out. Nelson Cruz, the Ranger right fielder, will follow Elvis in the batting order. Saunders with a payoff pitch. Broken bat grounder behind the bag. It's fair. Seager, long throw, and just got it. A nice play by Kyle Seager. That broken bat looked like it didn't distract Seager at all.
Seager has to get rid of this ball quickly because he's got a long throw to make all the way across the diamond, which he does very well. And Elvis giving the safe sign, but pretty easy call for Marty Foster at first base. Seager unloads after he plants and throws. And he's out by half a step.
No, 2 gone, bases empty. Nelson Cruz takes low for ball 1. See, Nelly has enjoyed hitting against Saunders in his career. Chops this one foul outside third. And the count moves to a ball and a strike. I remember the one time that Saunders had a very good outing in this ballpark last October.
Yep, in a different uniform.
A rip and a miss. Came in here with the Baltimore Orioles in the 1-game wild card playoff. Rangers couldn't solve him at all. That's the only time in this ballpark that he's had any success at all. But it was certainly the biggest stage he had pitched on here against the Rangers. Hard hit ground ball. The second baseman Franklin stays with it. On to first. A couple of hard hit balls, and Rangers go in 1-2-3 fashion. We played one at Arlington. It's the Mariners 2, the Rangers nothing. Jim Knox. Jim?
All right, appreciate it, Buzz. Good group of Ranger fans having a good time tonight here at the ballpark. You bet. In Community Corner tonight, we're talking about big happenings before the game. That is John Daniels, Rangers general manager, along with his wife Robin and their children, handed out some scholarships to some area Arlington High School students. The recipients were honored before the game. To find out more ways the Rangers help out in the community, you can do so by logging on to TexasRangers.com/foundation. Buzz?
All right, Jim, thank you. Bottom third of the Mariner order facing Justin Grimm here in the second inning. Dustin Ackley down on the count 0-2. Takes the pitch off the outside corner. It's a ball and 2 strikes.
We're talking about number 1 draft choices. Ackley was the highest draft choice of all those kids. He was the 2nd pick back in 2009. Kyle Seager was the 3rd pick in 2009. They went to college together at the University of North Carolina. Well, Ackley is obviously a guy that they're really counting on to develop.
He laces this one to center field. Going back, Leonis Martin slows up and makes the over-the-shoulder catch shy of the warning track. Well, Ackley hit it hard, but he has nothing to show for it. That is out number 1, and Mike Zunino coming up.
And Zunino was the 3rd pick of last year's draft. University of Florida kid.
Now he's the 6th player out of last year's draft to make it to the major leagues already. First position player. The other 5, of course, pitchers. And Zunino really coming up out of necessity. And this is where I think the Mariners have just made the decision. Look, the second half of the season, we're going to do our developing at the big league level with our top guys. And Zunino certainly qualifies as their top catching prospect. They felt that he was going to be up in September anyway, and fine. We'll just get him up here a couple of months early. Sky to right center field, converging Cruz and Leonis Martin. Nelly Cruz makes the grab. That is out number 2.
Well, he's a powerful kid. He just got underneath that one, but that had some pretty good hang time to it. There'll be some times where he might be a little overmatched at the big league level, but you make a mistake to him, he's got the power to hit it a long way.
Now the base is empty. Brad Miller, the shortstop, will step in. Another one of the young players for the Mariners. Miller hitting just 182. Takes outside for ball 1. Miller, a 23-year-old. He was the 2nd round selection in the June 11 draft. Lines this one to right. Cruz going back. Turned around a little bit. That ball might have knuckled on him. Kelly stays with it, and that'll do it. 3 fly ball outs, and the Mariners are gone after an inning and a half. Seattle 2, Texas nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. on our question tonight. Who's the Rangers player of the month for the month of June? If you feel like it was Nelly Cruz, go to Twitter and throw on their hashtag FSCruz. Ian Kinsler, Leonis Martin, Joe Nathan are your choices. Just go to Twitter and give us your vote. We will tabulate the results, get it back to you later on in the ballgame. Joe Saunders goes to work and throws strike one to Adrian Beltre. It'll be Beltre, Pierzynski, and Moreland here in the Rangers' second. 296 the average. Called the Ranger third sacker. He takes low and inside. A ball and a strike.
Saunders has pitched much better at home than he has on the road. He loves pitching in Seattle. ERA on the road is 3 runs higher than it is in Seattle. Seattle, a pretty good place to pitch.
Yeah, especially for a left-hander that can change speeds like that. It takes an awful lot to hit the ball out in left field. Check swing on the pitch down and away. 2-2 to Beltre. Adrian in his last 5 ball games, a .333 average. Chops that one foul to stay alive at 2-2. Beltre back in. Saunders to the wind. And Beltre lines one to right center field. That's down in front of Ackley for a base hit. And the Rangers have their first base runner of the night. Leadoff single. A.J. Pierzynski coming up. And let's say hello to Dana Larson once again. Dana?
Well, Buzz, in talking to A.J. before the game, he said the key to working with a rookie pitcher is to keep him comfortable and confident. And when he's no longer comfortable, for example, after giving up back-to-back home runs early in a game, you still got to keep their heads up, and then their confidence will come back up. He also said most importantly, they have to stay as aggressive as possible with not a lot of experience to fall back on. Their natural tendency to fall out of attack mode. So Buzz and Tommy says it will certainly be his job to keep Justin Grimm focused on being aggressive the rest of the way in this one.
All right, Dan, good points. That's certainly the task a veteran catcher has dealing with a young staff, or a young starter in this case. 0-1 to A.J. Had a pitch to work with that stayed in on him a bit. And Pierzynski fouled it back. It's 0-2. Pierzynski in the last 8 ball games. .357 against the Mariners last 8 games. A couple of home runs. And he has driven in 6. 0-2 pitch. Now 1-2.
Saunders has been pretty tough on left-hand hitters. Left-hand hitters hit below 200 against him. Right-hand hitters above 300 against him. And as usual, the Rangers have a number of left-hand hitters in the lineup. 4 of them to be exact.
A.J. chops one foul, the off-speed pitch. Still a ball and 2 strikes.
Guess what the giveaway is tonight, Buzz?
I think you're going to tell me.
You're looking at it.
And no, it's not the pizza that young man's eating.
No.
Good looking hats, a fedora.
Yeah, they look great. Good thing about those hats, you look good in them whether you're a youngster, a male, or a female.
There are a lot of them. Those are all courtesy of Loops here tonight. There's 30,000 fans received one of those. Swing and a miss in the dirt. And Pierzynski down on strikes. Beltre staying at first. That is out number 1. And it brings up Mitch Moreland.
A.J. had laid off a couple of pitches away, but the third one was one he just couldn't lay off. It was obviously out of the strike zone. Hard breaking ball that I'm sure a lot of left-handers have swung and missed at against Saunders. They hit below 200 against him.
Now Mitch Moreland steps in. Mitch struggling a bit in his return from the disabled list. Been a little bit over a week now that Mitch has been back in the lineup, and he only has 5 hits since coming back. Shoots this one the other way, and that's a rocket to left. Beltre to second, makes a turn, he hangs on as Ibanez gets the ball back in. And Mitch Moreland going the other way, and he continues to pulverize left-handed pitching.
Well, they played the shift. They had the shortstop close to second base, and he hit a ground ball right straight at the shortstop, but it was a rope. You know, Buzz, you were talking during batting practice watching Mitch hit that he'd hit a number of balls hard to left field, so it did carry over into the game.
It did. I think I told you I was kind of hoping he didn't use them all up in BP, but apparently he had a couple left.
Well, he had a good plan, and I think when Mitch has been struggling, that's probably something he had to go back to. The old standby, driving the ball to left center field.
2 on, 1 out. Here is Jurickson Profar, the switch hitter, handling DH chores tonight. High chopper beyond third is just foul.
Oh, boy.
And it couldn't have been foul by much. Right there down the line at third. Paul Schreiber right on top of the line.
Yeah, he's got a great look at it. Great concentration, and he makes the right call.
About 18 inches or so.
Yep, not a surprise. The umpires were on top of those.
No Profar back to the plate. Now down on the count, 0-1. Beltre at second. Moreland at first. 1 out here in the Rangers' second inning. Zunino flashing the signs out. Saunders will make a little bluff move to second. Nobody there. And they just hang on to things.
Yeah, pretty good story if Adrian tries to steal third base right here.
I'll tell you a couple of things. This is a big game for Adrian, and that his hamstring feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Fastball tails to the outside corner. 0-2.
Well, now you got some work to do. Make some contact. 0-2. Guy with sneaky fastball, good changeup, and a curveball, and he's probably going to go out of his way not to throw you a strike right here, but he'll tempt you.
Saunders a check of the runners. 0-2 pitch, just a bit low. Now, one thing we've noticed about Profar is that he's got a pretty good idea of the strike zone. Typically doesn't get overly aggressive outside the strike zone. You know, the last 6 ball games or so, Jurickson has been having a little bit of a problem with the strikeout. 1-2 pitch. Out of his shoe tops. And it's 2-2. Well, Saunders working from the stretch for the first time in this inning. And Beltre had a solid single to center. Krasinski struck out. Then Moreland shot one through the shortstop hole for a base hit. And the left-hander ready, and the 2-2. Got him swinging. Breaking ball, and Profar gone on strikes. That is out number 2. And David Murphy now coming up.
And both strikeouts were pitches down and out of the strike zone. Both AJ and Jurickson were able to lay off a couple, but then the third one tempted them enough to where they swung at it.
So here's Murphy. David hitting just .219. He said safely in 7 of his last 10 ball games, and he takes outside for ball 1. Hit almost .280 in those 10 ball games. Rangers could use a big 2-out hit here. Saunders with the 1-0 pitch. And a strike. Zunino is going to come up out of that crouch quickly and couldn't get the handle on the ball. Now the 1-1 coming. Pulled on the ground, Smoke. Underhand feed to Saunders covering, and that'll do it. Rangers get a couple of hits, but Strand 2. We have finished 2 in Arlington. Mariners 2, the Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. players. It's the 2013 MLB All-Star Game. Don't miss the battle for World Series home field advantage. It's coming up Tuesday, July 16th on Fox. The road to October starts now. Top of the third inning in the top of the Mariner order to face Justin Grimm. Andy Chavez takes a strike, and joining us now, Rangers CEO Nolan Ryan. Nolan, we appreciate you stopping by.
Oh, glad to be here, Buzz.
Thanks for the weather, too. I'm glad you put your order in.
I'll tell you what, it's hard to believe it's July. There's something wrong.
Yeah, no kidding. Chavez a little two-hopper that Kinsler takes care of. Well, the last time we had you on, if memory serves, the Rangers had just gotten out of that 6-game losing streak all at home, and we're taking on Oakland and starting to turn things around. This ball club did a prompt about-face and did it at the right time, too.
Well, it's amazing. About the time you think the wheels are about to come off, all of a sudden they come roaring back, and who would have ever thought they'd take 3 out of 4 from Oakland and then go on that road trip to St. Louis and the Yankees and do what they did and then come home and just continue.
You know, one of the kids that's come up and done a great job is Martin Perez, and we've heard a lot about him over the last 5 years. Nolan, what's he doing that's been so impressive since he's come up this time?
You know what has I guess I've been pleased with is that the mound presence that he has and the way that he's approaching hitters and he's trying to put them away, and he's showing us that stuff that he had in the minor leagues for several years and just never really, when he got the opportunity up here, showed it. And so he has 3 big league pitches and he's using them and throwing them with confidence, and I couldn't be any happier with those 2 outings that he's had.
Yeah, no, and talking about young pitchers in general, but Martin, Martin especially, is that the toughest thing that a young pitcher has to do is make that transition mound presence-wise from AAA to the big leagues?
I think it really is. I think they have to, in their mind, realize that they belong here and that they can pitch here and be successful. And, you know, some of them it takes longer than others, and some have that kind of confidence. As soon as they step out there, they say, hey, I belong here and I can pitch here and be successful. And then there's others that have that doubt, and they just have to get adjusted to it.
Nolan, not to change the subject, but I'm interested to know how Reed has enjoyed his first 2 weeks down in Houston.
You know, he really has. He likes the challenge. It's a big learning curve, but he feels really good about it, and their ball club has played better, and I think they feel like that they're headed in the right direction. So I think from a timing standpoint, he came in at a unique time that they had nowhere to go but up, and it's a young ball club. They make a lot of mistakes, and sometimes they get blown out because of that. But then there's other times they've played some really good baseball.
There's a walk to Ibanez, and after homering the first time, Justin Grimm, a little bit careful with Ibanez that time.
Yeah, I don't blame him. Ibanez is coming off a homestand where he played 8 games and hit 5 home runs.
Yeah.
So who would have ever thought he'd have the home runs and RBIs that he had? You thought when he went over there he'd be a part-time player.
I know.
It's been amazing what he's accomplished this year, and it's made a difference with the ball club having him hit in front of Morales.
Yeah, these two guys on this Seattle ball club, I mean, you know, you don't think too much of it. Think, well, it's the same old Seattle thing. You get Ibanez swinging the bat pretty well. Morales is a quality hitter. All of a sudden, the middle of that order with looks like Kyle Seager is going to be a pretty good hitter too. They've got some guys with a little bit of pop.
I agree with you. You take those 3 guys right there, and if you're pitching against them, you can't take them lightly. And they can do just what they did in that first inning. And you know, Justin got some balls up on them, and they were right on them. One of them was a changeup, one of them was a high fastball, and so you have to make good pitches in the middle of that order.
1-1 pitch, and that is a strike. Middle of the order, speaking of that, for the Rangers, do you think the ball club is a right-handed bat short of really having a quality lineup?
Well, I think we'd like to see another right-hander and have a quality right-hander that we could insert in that lineup. I think it'd give Ron some flexibility, and I agree with you. I think it would make it tougher on pitchers if we had that.
They don't exactly grow on trees, though.
No, you start looking around, and if somebody has one, if they're willing to let them go, you don't like the asking price.
Yeah.
So
Grimm's 1-2 pitch. Slap just foul outside third. Beltre the overshift, and as most teams do against a guy like Morales, they'll give him that slap double the other way. Adrian almost threw his glove with that one. He said, I'm not going to get that. Heck with it. Good look at the overshift. Got him swinging.
He said, no.
And Brzezinski on to first.
All right.
So walking. Thanks, Noah, for joining us.
All
Sure
right,
appreciate it. We finished 2.5. It's still the Mariners 2, the Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealer. By Jack in the Box. Go big at Jack in the Box near you with Jack's new Big Stack Burger. Leonis Martin. Oh, he can do that. Took one with him the other day against Cincinnati. This time, making the 32-year-old Joe Saunders have to get off the mound in a hurry.
Well, he's utilizing his speed. There's no doubt about it. And that's one way to do it, especially against a tough left-handed pitcher. Tough on left-hand hitters. Drop that bunt down.
And that would result in a 15-game hitting streak.
What you hope is it results in an error down the right field line that puts him on second base. Saunders really had very little opportunity to throw Leonis out on that. But you've got speed on the bases to start the inning, and now you've got all the right-hand hitters coming up.
And top of the order, Ian Kinsler, who hit the ball hard his first time up, but lined to short. Takes the changeup that floats outside. The Ford leaderboard tonight showing you the active hit streaks going in Major League Baseball. Michael Kadire with the Rockies at 27. And
that's a serious one.
Martin. Yeah. Hanley Ramirez, the Dodgers, and Jason Kipnis and James Loney, all with a dozen. And then a second.
Kadire's having his best year. He's hitting 340. They're the top of the leaders in batting average.
Apparently that high altitude agrees with him.
Must like it.
Ian at 282, and that's as low as his average has been since the third week of the season. Got Martin at first. He draws a throw from Saunders. Well, Saunders, for a left-hander, doesn't have a great move. It's serviceable, but he does a pretty good job of changing up his tempo from the stretch. Tries not to let the runners get a good read on him tempo-wise. Next pitch to Ian. popped up, foul. That will reach the seats on the first base side, and the count moves to a ball and 2 strikes.
Got a couple of birthdays and a wedding anniversary, Buzz. Mike Arnett from Sand Springs, Oklahoma, writes and asks us for a birthday wish for his mom. She's 90 years old today. She loves David Murphy. Unfortunately, Mike, you didn't give us her name. I'm going to take a guess and say that her last name is Arnett. I hope it is. And Mrs. Arnett, we wish you a happy 90th today and wish that Mike had given us your name. Watch out, Elvis. Oh, check swing right by him.
Yep, and Elvis didn't move till the ball was on the screen.
Betty Young was 87 years old yesterday. We didn't do the game yesterday. She's from Greenville, Texas. Happy birthday, Betty. And Bill and Wanda McDale are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary today. They're from Denton. Word has it that they don't have a party scheduled. They're celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary, watching Ranger baseball tonight. So Bill and Wanda McDale from Denton, hope the Rangers bring you a win today.
That's how you stay married for 50 years. Watch Ranger baseball.
Watch baseball together.
Have that in common. Two balls, 2 strikes to count to Ian Kinsler. That one is Martin, a lead at first. Saunders checks him. He's on the move. The pitch is low. The throw is not in time. And safe at second base, Leonis Martin, and he is on some kind of stolen base tear.
Well, you know, for
17.
17 already. For a guy that I think people remarked about him when he first got called up, that his instincts needed to improve both on the bases, in the outfield. He appears to be a pretty fast learner because they look pretty good right now. He's a terrific base stealer, using the bunt to utilize his speed and playing solid center field for the Rangers.
Kinsler, a ground ball, base hit to left field. Martin had to make sure the ball went through, so Leonis has to stop at third base. The runners now at the corners with nobody out, and Elvis coming up.
We talked about Ian in the pregame show how well he had hit against Joe Saunders. 10 for 30, I think it was, coming into the game. So he adds a base hit and had a hard hit ball his first time up when he lined out to shortstop. A good opportunity for Elvis.
And that base hit snapped an 0 for 16 for Ian Kinsler. So Leonis Martin at third. Now Ian Kinsler at first. Elvis thrown out on a great play by Kyle Seager, the third baseman, back in the first inning. Takes a belt high strike. It's 0-1. Rangers now have out-hit the Mariners tonight, 4-3. Eric Wedge keeping an eye on things. Rangers now with runners at the corners. Gary Pettis saying something to Martin at third. Line drive, base hit to left field. Leonis Martin scores. The Rangers have cut the lead in half. It's 2-1 Seattle with runners at first and second and still nobody out.
Elvis took a pretty good pitch to hit for strike one and then hit a pretty tough pitch for a base hit. That pitch down and in. Maybe a slider. Nice job of hitting by Elvis. Pretty similar to the pitch he hit the first time up when he grounded out to third. The Rangers got a little something going here. Right-handed hitting part of their lineup. Kinsler, Andrus, Cruz, and Beltre.
3 consecutive hits to start this third inning. A run across. And now Nelly Cruz up there, who grounded out to second. Although he scalded one out to Nick Franklin, the second baseman, back in the first inning. Saunders, first pitch. Well, Nelly had designs of hitting that ball out of this ballpark and a couple of others.
Well, he's been doing that this month.
Yeah.
Took a little off, threw him a changeup.
7 home runs last month did Nelly Cruz. Kinsler at second, Andrus at first. The 0-1 pitch. A ball and a strike. Cruz with 17 RBI in his last 13 ball games. He's also hit for a .333 average over that span. Saunders a check of second, the 1-1. Chopper foul outside third. We'll try it and a ball and 2 strikes. Cruz the team leader with those 20 home runs. And the 61 RBI coming into play tonight. Good for 5th in the American League. Saunders again sets. Just barely getting a piece of it. Cruz stays alive.
Took him a good changeup out of the strike zone. Nelly just hung in there with a little piece of it.
Rangers making Saunders work here the last inning plus. Again, the 1-2 coming to Cruz. Now it's 2-2. Ron Washington, Jackie Moore. Wash giving those sunflower seeds a pretty good working over. Saunders will set a check of the runners. Got him swinging. Tough pitch down and in, and that is the 3rd strikeout for Joe Saunders. 1 away, and Adrian Beltre coming up. And it's time now for a Mazda game break with John Radigan. John? All right, John, thank you. What, Cabrera and Chris Davis. We're going to see Chris Davis next week, but they are going back and forth with each other like crazy for the Triple Crown in the American League.
Yeah, as hot as Chris Davis was the first couple of months, he knocked in 30 runs in June. He hasn't cooled off at all.
Kinsler and Andrus at second and first, respectively. Adrian Beltre a single to center. The first time he faced Saunders here tonight. Rangers have a run across here in the 3rd, looking for more. And the pitch outside. It is 2-0.
He knows he's got a left-hand hitter up next. He knows he wants to be careful to Beltre. But at the same time, you don't want to load the bases with a walk, so you have to be careful right here.
2-0, and you can guarantee that Adrian is sitting on something he can hit hard. Not what he was looking for, and he takes it as 2-1.
Yeah, that's a pitch that's very, very seldom called a strike. At the bottom of the strike zone. You see a lot of pitches in the strike zone down there that aren't called strikes.
Rip and a miss, and it's 2-2. This is where a veteran hitter like Beltre has to get control of his anger now and not worry about that 2-0 pitch that was called a strike. Tough to do, though. Got Kinsler at second, Andrus at first. 1 out. Rangers trailing by 1. Off the end of the bat, the second they get 1, and the throw to first not in time. A little double clutch by the shortstop Miller. Elvis able to go down and get enough of a distracted slide to second to prevent Miller from making the quick transfer. No runners at the corners now with 2 outs, and A.J. Brzezinski will come to the plate.
Well, Saunders has done a pretty good job with men on first and second and nobody out. Pitching through the middle of the lineup, Cruz and Beltre. But he's not home free yet. Got A.J. Brzezinski with a man on third base.
AJ struck out on a 2-2 pitch his first time up there. Brzezinski now 0 for 10 on this homestand. He pounds one to the right side. Cut off nicely by Franklin, who spins and throws out Brzezinski. Nice play by Nick Franklin. Rangers get a run. They have 3 hits but strand 2. On to the 4th we go. 2-1 Seattle. each and every Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning on Fox Sports Southwest for Chevy Hometown Kids. It's not about the score, it's about the experience. Good night for a jug of water and stay well hydrated. Watch the Rangers try to get back in this game. They have done just that as they've cut the lead down to 2-1 Seattle as the Mariners come to bat here in the top of the fourth inning. Kyle Seager to start things off against Justin Grimm. It'll be Seager, Smoke, and Ackley. And the breaking ball stays high. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Seager, a base hit to right, his first time to the plate. Hitting now at an even 270. Grimm back to the plate. 2-0. Justin has given up 2 runs on 3 hits. 2 runs on back-to-back home runs in the first inning. That ball hit well to right field going into the corner. Cruz over to play the carom, and it gets by him just a bit. Seager to second. Thought about making the turn and going for third, but put the brakes on. And he will settle for a leadoff 2-bagger against Justin Grimm.
They got behind him 2-0. And a fastball, not a terrible place, down and out over the plate. Seager hits well against the Rangers. Tough out against the Rangers. Barely kept that ball fair.
Seager with his 23rd double of the season. He came in tied for 5th in the American League in that category. So he's in scoring position now with nobody out. Justin Smoke is the hitter, and Smoke a ground ball to second back in the first inning. Up and in, the first fastball from Grimm. It's ball 1. Smoke spent about 20 days on the disabled list. He had a right oblique strain, kept him out of action. Grimm a couple of looks at second, and now the 1-0. 2 balls, no strikes. Kyle Seager, who is now 5 for 11 against Justin Grimm. And ball 3 is low and inside. So 3-0 the count. Smoke hitting in the number 6 spot. He'll be followed by the left-handed hitting Dustin Ackley, the center fielder. Got to be careful here. 3-0. Inside, ball 4. He wasn't taking anything for granted. He ran that fastball in off the plate. So Smoke takes the walk, puts runners at first and second with nobody out. And Ackley, who lined to center field, will come up. And Mike Maddox going to the mound. And while we have a second, we'll go to Jim Knox. Jim?
All right, Buzz, real quick. This Sunday, big happenings here at the ballpark. It is Ranger Red Build-A-Bear Day. Kevin doing a nice job holding the Ranger Red Build-A-Bear Day. First 10,000 kids 13 and under get this nice Ranger Red Build-A-Bear Day. Kevin, got to take that out of your hands. It is Kayla's birthday, and we're going to give that to you. Happy birthday, Kayla. Go, way to go, Kayla. Thanks, Kevin. Good job, buddy. Maybe next time. Appreciate it. Buzz?
Knox, you better get a bear for that, man. He's a little bit larger than
that guy
you want to mess around with.
That guy gets you in a headlock. He'll feel like a bear. He had a serious look on his face, too, boy. Might have had a little stage fright being next to Knoxie down there.
Yeah. Star-studded.
Pretty intimidating guy.
No kidding. Well, here's Ackley. Got Seager at second, Smoke at first. Rangers thinking Ackley's probably going to bunt. They got the wheel play on, and instead it's the pickoff at second with Kinsler darting in behind Seager, but Seager able to get back in time. Something the Rangers love to run in that situation. See Beltre playing caddy corner at third. No bunt here from Ackley, and the first pitch is a strike to the outside corner. Ackley hitting at 201. Beltre still up at third. Now Moreland's going to play a step or so behind Smoke at first base. Grimm checking second. And that ball's hammered to right field. That's a problem. Cruz over to play the carom. Seager coming around third. He will score. Into third is Smoke. Into second with the RBI double, Dustin Ackley. And the Mariners have gotten the run back the Rangers put up. It's now a 3-1 Seattle lead.
Yeah, they have a lot of good at-bats against Justin. In the second inning, they went down 1-2-3, but Ackley, Zunino, and Miller all hit the ball solidly. Ackley follows up a line shot out to the warning track in dead center with a line double to right field. Waiting on a fastball, looking for a fastball and ripping it.
Well, with nobody out now, runners at second and third. The Rangers pull just in front of halfway depth, and a little tapper will go foul off the bat of Mike Zunino. It's 0-1. With Smoke and not the greatest of speed at third base, Ron Washington can have his infield play just a little bit deeper than all the way in. Help them with the range just a little bit and still have a shot at getting Smoke if a ground ball is hit near where they are. Ross Wolf, right-hander, starting to loosen very quickly in the Ranger bullpen. Ground ball to third. Smoke is coming home. Beltre's throw is there in time, and they get the sliding Smoke. Well, no hesitation on Adrian's part. That ball, a nice soft one-hopper to him, and he had an easy play to get Justin Smoke at the plate.
Yeah, and usually on that play, if the guy from third is going to try to score, the guy from second is going to go to third anyway. But in that play, the Rangers get an out at the plate. Ackley stayed at second base. And so now instead of one out and having a man in scoring position, it's first and second with one out. Generally, both the guy at second and third will know that the guy on third is going. And if he does go, then you go to third base.
And a chopper to the right side. Moreland cuts it off and goes to second. That's all they're going to get. Miller quick enough going down the line that there would be no return throw. They do get the force at second. Get the sliding Zunino. Well, now the Mariners with runners at first and third with 2 outs. And for the top of the order, Andy Chavez.
That's a tricky little hop too, but Mitch has good hands. He can make those plays. He's got a nice left-handed throw to second base. Good arm, good accuracy. Well, now you're 1 out away of working your way out of a huge jam. You can limit this inning to 1 run. And you're Justin. You walk off the field feeling pretty good.
Yep. Exactly right. Second and third, a run across, nobody out. If you can get out of it with nothing else scoring, that is pretty much a Houdini act. Chavez tonight has grounded out, once to short, once to second. Grimm's first pitch to him. He's going to ground out to second. Also, it's on to first. Good job by Grimm. The damage is limited. They get a run on 2 hits and lead 2. After 3.5, it's the Mariners 3, the Rangers 1 on Fox Sports Southwest. win Texas-sized jackpots. It's Texas' original jackpot game, and it's available at your favorite lottery retailer. A good crowd on hand here tonight, mid-30s or so. Very comfortable evening, 85 degrees at first pitch, very low humidity. And with a different kind of rally hat on tonight. They are hoping for a Ranger rally as the ball club trails 3-1 entering the bottom of the fourth inning. Mitch Moreland to start things off. Jurickson Profar, David Murphy to follow. Saunders' first pitch, a breaking ball, and it's outside to Mitch. Moreland smacked a single through the shortstop hole last time up. And again, the Mariners putting the overshift on. This time they've had Seager move over from third to kind of cover up that shortstop hole a little bit. The gap over there not quite as big as it was last time. Two balls, no strikes. Now 2-1 on the Tapper foul. Well, the hits are even at 5 in this game. Seattle, however, has 4 of their 5 hits going for extra bases. 2 home runs, 2 doubles. Rangers, all 5 hits have been singles. Moreland rifles one to right field, but right at Andy Chavez. Almost dead in his tracks. The right fielder puts it away for out number 1. I can't say Joe Saunders is tripping anybody.
Yeah, both pitchers have done a pretty nice job of pitching out of jams. For Saunders, it was first and second, nobody out, having to face Cruz and Beltre. Got out of it with no damage. The ultimate hanging curveball right there. Mitch just hit it on a line instead of lofting it a little bit.
A 1 out, base is empty for Jurickson Profar. Profar, one of the 3 strikeouts tonight registered by Joe Saunders. Left-hander winds, and the first pitch is hit high in the air down the right field line. It is twisting into the corner and going foul. Andy Chavez over there, but ran out of room very quickly, and it's 0-1 to Jurickson Profar. Saunders, 60 pitches thus far, 39 strikes out of those 60 offerings. Profar back in, hitting out of that slightly open stance from the right side of the plate. He takes outside to even the count at 1-1. Back to the plate comes Saunders. Fastball hit Profar, came up and in, and Jurickson kind of spin out of the way, and he will take it off of his front shoulder. Well, he gets aboard with 1 out for David Murphy. Just barely got that upper arm, huh?
Just caught his shirt sleeve, it looked like. Shirt sleeve, and by the grimace, maybe a little bit of his arm.
1 on, 1 out. David Murphy grounded to first in the second inning. And he takes a breaking ball for strike 1. Murphy, 218 now. He has been on a pretty good dry spell as far as RBI. Murphy just 2 RBI in his last 24 games. And David trying to get things back in order. He has fared well against the Mariners. He's hitting 12 of the last 16 games that he's played against Seattle. Takes that pitch just off the outside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, with the track record that David has, you just have to think, as cold as he's been in the first half, that the second half is going to be a hot half for him. Just too good a hitter not to pick it up.
And he lines this one to center field.
Kind of like that.
Kind of like that?
Yeah, that's what we're looking for.
On the 2nd of July, it's about time. Time for him to turn it on. Well, the Rangers coming right back. They have runners at first and second for Leonis Martin.
Well, the Rangers have had men in first and second in the last 3 innings. Second inning with 1 out and couldn't score. Last inning after a run was in, first and second and nobody out and couldn't score. And now again, first and second and 1 out here in the 4th, trying to score.
Zunino out to have a chat with the veteran left-hander Joe Saunders. Leonis Martin dropped down a bunt single his first time up. And that started that rally that turned into a run for the Rangers last inning. And in fact, the Rangers came up a little bit short considering that the first 3 men reached in the 3rd inning. Fouled away. It is 0-1. Now Wendy's presents. Now that's better. And look at Leonis Martin, 9 stolen bases in the last 15 games after 8 stolen bases in the first 56 games of the season. Now that's better. That's better.
The playing time that he's getting now and the confidence that he's building just really is allowing his talent to play through.
0-1 pitch. Off the end of the bat down to first. Smoke goes to second. They get 1. The return not in time. Martin just getting down that line too quickly. And the force play at second removes Murphy. Looked like Saunders came up a little gimpy after the stretch for that ball. Trying to play first baseman, and it doesn't look like he's stretched too many times for a throw as a first baseman.
Well, the Rangers almost benefited from a ball that was almost thrown away. Not much chance to get to Martin. Get Martin. You can see how far by the bag he is. Saunders had to stretch as far as he could to possibly keep Profar from scoring from third base on an overthrow.
Profar now down at third with 2 outs. At first, Leonis Martin, and you can bet that if he gets any kind of a jump, that he's gone. Martin stole a base last inning. Now has 17 stolen bases for the year. Here's Kinsler, who's 1 for 2. Ball 1. Talking about Martin also. Leonis, all 17 of his steals have come since the middle of May. Since the 15th of May, as a matter of fact. Saunders a check and the pitch. 2 balls, no strikes. Eric Wedge watching the progress of this 4th inning. And the pitch outside, it's 3 balls and no strikes to Ian Kinsler.
Well, Saunders is well aware that Kinsler has good luck against him, so I don't blame him for being careful right here.
And Ian probably selective enough you could turn him loose if you chose to. You got Elvis next. The 3-0 pitch. Blowing inside, ball 4. That'll load him up for Elvis Andrus. Carl Willis, the pitching coach, now going to go out and give Joe Saunders a little breather. Refocus. Go after Andrus. He doesn't have any place to put Elvis. Bases are full of Ranger teammates here in this 4th inning. Profar started things off with 1 out by getting hit by a pitch. David Murphy singled him to second. And Leonis Martin with the fielder's choice ground out put runners at first and third. Then Ian drew the 4-pitch walk. So the bases are full. Elvis 1 for 2 at the plate tonight. Had an RBI single last inning. Elvis now 29 RBI for the year. He has been on a pretty good RBI roll of late also. Saunders will go back to the windup. First pitch in right back to him. Flags it down off of his left hip. And Elvis is retired on a rocket back to the mound. So the Rangers can't score on a hit. They leave the bases full. On to the fifth we go. 3-1 Seattle on Fox Sports Southwest. Come into Arlington to take on Adrian Beltre and your Rangers. Baseball Night in America begins Saturday, 5:30 p.m., starting with MLB All-Star Game Selection Show. Now we head to the top of the fifth inning, a 3-1 Mariner lead. Joining us now, as he always does on our Fox Southwest broadcast, the co-host of Rangers Live, Mark McLemore. Mac, appreciate you coming up. Wish we had a little better news to talk about right now, but good news is they've hit the ball hard.
They have hit the ball hard. We'll start scoring some runs.
Yeah.
This is the inning.
The question is, can Justin Grimm throw enough quality strikes in this inning to keep them off the board? It's been a struggle for him.
It has, and they've hit him pretty hard as well. And it seems as though the mistakes that he's made, they capitalize on them, especially, the two veterans from Seattle, Ibanez and Morales.
And I guess you'd have to say the difference in this game is what Seattle has been able to do with his mistakes. It hasn't been singles. It's been 2 home runs and 2 doubles that have made all the difference of 3 runs coming off those extra base hits. Now, we were talking with Nolan earlier about the Seattle ball club, and it's not the same old Seattle club where even the middle of the order was punchless. I'd say the old Seattle club. The last several years, Seattle's been up and down the order, lacking in offensive production.
Right, they're making some changes. They're trying to get better every year. They're trying to, they're trying different things, different pieces, moving guys around. Bringing some guys up from the minor leagues. They've made a couple of free agent signings, bringing in Ibanez, I think this is his 3rd tour in Seattle, and still very effective. So they're trying some different things, and it looks like this year they've got some punch. And they've still got a couple of guys that really haven't reached their potential.
There's a base hit to right for Nick Franklin, one of the young players that you're talking about. Actually, they brought up that really looks like a player. They like what he has been able to do at second base and with the bat also.
Yeah, I know Dustin Ackley was one of the guys that they were counting on a couple of years ago. And you look at Justin Smoke, I don't think his numbers are quite where they expected him to be, but that could be another big bat in the middle of the lineup for him.
Well, here's the grizzled veteran Raul Ibanez. 20 home runs now and 46 RBI for Ibanez. Takes a strike from Grimm.
Ibanez has already hit 20 home runs. He hasn't hit more than 20 home runs in any of the last 3 seasons. So he's halfway to having the kind of years he was having 5 or 6 years ago with Seattle, when he was hitting in the mid-20s in home runs, knocking in 100 runs. Got a shot to do that this year.
Yep.
At his age. Pretty impressive.
I think he's happy to be back in Seattle.
Yeah, I think he is.
1-1 the count to him. Pulled to Kinsler. It's off his glove and into right field. Stopping at second momentarily is Franklin. He puts on the burners and moves on to third. And now runners at the corners and nobody out. I'm sure that's going to be an error on Ian Kinsler, who was expecting that ball to stay down for him, and it didn't. Came up and got him on the heel of the glove.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the difference between a possible double play and now 2 men on, first and third, and nobody out. Not a simple play, but what's he doing, Mac? Trying to get into position to make the throw?
No, I think the ball had a lot of top spin on it, so that last bounce, it just kind of skipped up a little bit and hopped up on him. But he was definitely getting his feet ready to go to second base, and I think they had a pretty good shot at turning that double play. But that's a tough one to hit. Raul hits that ball, that ground ball, with a lot of top spin.
And that doesn't have enough top spin on it. Deep to right field. Cruz trying to climb the wall, but he doesn't have a ticket. That ball's gone. The second home run of the night for Kendrys Morales. And just like that, it is 6-1 Seattle.
If there's one pitch that Justin hasn't perfected yet, it's probably his changeup. He tends to get the changeup up, and when he does, that can be the result, especially to a guy with a power like Morales. Just has to keep that thing down, and twice today, once to Ibanez and once to Morales, he's gotten it up a little bit.
So that's going to be it for Justin Grimm, who goes 4 innings plus 3 hitters here in the 5th inning. He will leave on the short end of a 6-1 lead for Seattle. Pitching change being made as Ross Wolf comes out of the bullpen. Justin finished for the night. We'll be right back after this timeout on Fox Sports Southwest. Unlimited grilled chicken sandwiches, hot dogs, nachos, peanuts, popcorn, and soft drinks, all for one low price. The all-you-can-eat menu is served in the air-conditioned upper home run porch grill. Get your tickets today by calling 972 Rangers. Now Ross Wolf throws one pitch, gets a ground ball to short off the bat of Kyle Seager, and that is out number 1.
Well, Ross Wolf has done a nice job. He had a spot start that he pitched very well in. And in long relief, he's done an excellent job. He pitched 6+ innings in Toronto very well. The other night, he pitched 3 innings very well. Nice ERA. Not a lot of strikeouts, but has kept the ball in the ballpark. And his opponent's batting average is only .238. So he's done his job. Done a nice job of it.
Here's Justin Smoke, and he takes strike 1. Smoke a walk and a ground ball to second. 0 for 1 officially. Seattle now leading 6-1 on the strength of 7 hits, 3 of them home runs. Kendrys Morales, a solo home run and a 3-run home run. The big blows in this ball game. 0-2 the count to Justin Smoak. Facing Ross Wolf, the 30-year-old right-hander. Inside, 92-mile-an-hour fastball to get Smoak off the plate a bit. It's 1-2. Wolf's next pitch hit well to left field. Murphy retreating, has room in front of the warning track. And that is out number 2. Wolf comes in to restore a little bit of order here very quickly, and now Dustin Ackley. Ackley doubled home his 10th RBI of the year last time up. And he goes after the first pitch. Ginzer has it, and that will do it. So 3 quick outs for Ross Wolf. The Mariners are gone in the 5th, but 3 runs come across on 2 hits and an error. Bottom of the 5th coming up, 6-1 Seattle. Pitcher, second game of this series will be the King, Felix Hernandez. On the hill for Seattle, Derek Holland, coming off a couple of very solid starts, going for the Rangers. 7 o'clock right here on Fox Sports Southwest. Felix comes in at 8-4, and Derek is 6-4. Battle of young, talented pitchers tomorrow night. The Rangers have some work to do here, Tom. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm just going to say the Rangers have their work cut out for them the next 2 nights with Iwakuma and Hernandez. Both of those guys are 2 and 3 in the league in earned run average. 2 of the best pitchers in the first half of the season. Saunders is a guy they pounded in this ballpark. He's never beaten them in this park, and his ERA is close to 10. So with him pitching a good game, now the next 2 games you're facing 2 of the best.
2-1 the count to Cruz. There's a base hit to center. Nelly gets the 5th inning started with a base hit. That is 7th hit of the night for the Rangers in just 4 innings plus 1 hitter.
And again, the Rangers the last 2 innings have had last 3 innings, 1st and 2nd. They've had the bases loaded. They've had 1st and 2nd with less than 2 outs and just haven't been able to get the big hit to keep those rallies going. They've had a chance to have a lot more than 1 run.
Here's Beltre, who is 1 for 2 tonight. He hits one high in the air to right field. Didn't look like Chavez saw it immediately. Now he does. Makes the grab. That is out number 1. And before A.J. Przinsky comes in, let's pick time for a Mazda game break. Again, here's John Radigan. John?
Enter A.J. Przinsky.
All right, thank you, John. Homer Bailey. Wow, it's Giants having all kinds of problems first half of the season with their offense. AJ takes a strike at the knees. It is 0-1. Przinsky tonight has struck out and out on a very nice play by Nick Franklin, the second baseman. Cruz to runner at first, 1 out here in the Ranger 5th inning. The other way to short. Miller to second for 1, back to first, a double play, and the Rangers again shoot themselves in the foot. A double play takes them out of the inning. Nothing going for the Rangers. We finished 5, and Mac, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
You got it. Nice inning, Mac. Very nice job. Nice calling.
6-1.
Gloops USA, and this is Gloops Night at the ballpark. You see all these fedoras around the ballpark. Rangers fedora, sponsored by Gloops. So a big night for Gloops here at the Ranger ballpark.
It is. It's fantastic to be here, and we're here in support of the RBI program for Major League Baseball, and we're just thrilled to be part of it. And Major League Baseball is a big sponsor of ours, and we're excited to be here.
Michael, what other activities Gloops sponsoring tonight?
Well, we actually had the kids come out and had a little bit of a fly ball contest, and the winner actually got to throw out the first pitch today. So it was really exciting. And it's all about the kids. I mean, we want to have inner city kids have the opportunity to play baseball, and by promoting these sorts of programs, Major League Baseball is doing their part.
Michael, good seeing you. I'll let you enjoy the rest of the game. Appreciate it, Mike. Mitch Moreland just had a good play at first base. Buzz?
Oh, I missed it.
You missed it.
All right, Doxy, thank you. Now, they're going to replay it up on the board for you. You can take a look up there. Oh, you just missed that, too.
Maybe TiVoed it. Go home and watch it.
There you go. Well, Zadino lines out to start things off. Now, Brad Miller, 0 for 2 tonight. Done shortstop up there from the left side, and Ross Wolf fires a strike. Well, Wolf has done nothing but fire strikes since he's come into almost every ball game we've seen him.
That's what I like about him. He throws strikes, his ball sinks. He changes speeds, got a good changeup, breaking ball.
Covers first well.
He's thrown 9 pitches and gotten 5 outs. You can't get much more efficient than that. 10 pitches. 2 pitches per out. That'd be a complete game, perfect game in 54 pitches.
Yep, sure would.
That'd be a pretty nice outing.
In about
come back
38 minutes.
Come back 2 days later and start again.
Well, 2 quick outs now. Back to the top of the order for Andy Chavez. And he takes a sinker a little bit low for ball 1. Chavez tonight has grounded out all 3 times. Once to short, twice to second. Wolf's next pitch. A rip and a miss, and it's 1-1. Wolf on since no out in the 5th inning. Came in for Justin Grimm. Grimm worked 4 innings plus 3 hitters in the 5th. 7 hits, 6 runs, 5 of them earned, 2 walks, and a strikeout. He gave up 3 home runs.
You know, when he's throwing his changeup, he's keeping it down and it sinks. That's a good, pretty good combination. Even if you're right on it, even if you anticipate the changeup, the location and the movement are going to make it tough to do much with it.
Right. There's a base hit to center. That one stayed up just a little bit, and Chavez able to pop it into center field. A 2-out single, and we just had the completion of a no-hitter by Homer Bailey. Is that correct?
Well, I saw him jumping up and down with him, and now he's back out on the mound, so I'm not sure what that was, Buzz.
I believe, didn't he throw a no-hitter before?
If he did, it was a replay of his first one then.
Right.
Sorry.
I think he did. If I remember right.
That was the replay of last year's.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just a little foreshadowing.
I've got it on my phone, but I can't sit here and watch it. I just looked down and saw him cheering.
A 1-on, 2-out. Nick Franklin, a single in 3 trips tonight. That batting average at .296. Well, the young second baseman. Franklin singled and scored last inning. Hits one high in the air, but that will work its way back out of play down the left side. And the count is a ball and a strike. In that game in Cincinnati, the Reds leading 3-0. And they're playing now in the top of the 9th inning. 1-1 pitch. A little looper down the left side. That is out of play. A ball and 2 strikes.
Franklin was a first-round draft choice back in 2009. He's a high school player from Florida. And now that he's settled in at second base, Dustin Ackley has moved to the outfield. He's playing center field now. This kid has come in and solidified himself in 100 at-bats as their second baseman right now.
And a line drive left field, a base hit. A nice little inside-out stroke by Franklin. And he got one down and in play for the base hit. So back-to-back 2-out singles. 2 aboard for Raul Ibanez. Now Ibanez steps in. A home run, a walk, and then he reached on an Ian Kinsler error in the 5th inning and scored. Chavez at second, Franklin at first. Wolf sets. And the pitch is just low for ball 1. Wolf back to the plate. And that pitch outside. 2-0 the count.
He had 5 outs on 10 pitches. And now he's thrown 10 more pitches with 2 base runners and a 2-0 count.
And 2-1 on the chop foul. Ibanez, a batting average of .248. Now has 46 RBI to go along with his 20 home runs. He is tied with Nelson Cruz at that 20 home run mark. The 2-1. And that will even the count now. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Challenged him with a fastball, went right at him. 93 miles an hour. That's top velocity for Ross. Got strike 2 on him. Wasn't able to catch up with it.
Wolf in the 2-2 pitch. Go with 2 outs now. Both runners, Chavez and Franklin, will be moving with the next Wolf offering. If Chavez is able to, or I should say if Ibanez is able to keep the inning alive, Kendrys Morales is waiting in that on-deck circle. That's not the guy you want to face again. Runners on the move, payoff pitch. He popped him up behind home plate. Brzezinski coming back, but AJ is going to run out of room and we'll have to try it again. They are now down to 1 out to go in the 9th inning in Cincinnati. Homer Bailey has got a strikeout. The base is empty, 2 away in that top of the 9th inning for Bailey, trying to complete his 2nd no-hitter. Here, Ross Wolf trying to get out of the 6th inning against the Mariners. Again, the 3-2. Outside, ball 4. That'll load him up for Kendrys Morales. The 2nd walk of the game issued to the Mariners. Both of them have been to Raul Ibanez. And now Morales, who is 2 for 3 tonight. And we'll take a look at the AT&T reverse replay. First time up. 1st inning, Morales, a high fastball, pounds one to right field. And the next time up, with 2 runners aboard, same result off of Justin Grin. 2 home runs, 4 RBI tonight for Morales. Mike Maddox out to talk to Wolf and to Brzezinski. Ross cruising along in this inning, got 2 quick outs, but then back-to-back singles followed by a walk have loaded the bases. And Chavez, Franklin, and Ibanez, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. Wolf sets. And the first pitch, a fastball that tails down and away for ball 1. And Homer Bailey just completed his 2nd no-hitter in Cincinnati. 3-0 over the San Francisco Giants.
Last 2 pitches he threw were 97 miles an hour.
And Morales drives one through to left field, a base hit. 1 run is home. Here comes Franklin, the throw to the plate, not in time. And now they've got Ibanez trapped between 2nd and 3rd. And Beltre just runs him back and tags him before he gets to the bag. The 2 runs come across. Morales with 2 more RBI. The 6th has come to an end for the Mariners. They scored 2 more times. It's now Seattle leading 8-1 on Fox Sports Southwest. to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $2,300 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Alma Jean Edwards from Fort Worth. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam during the inning, Alma Jean Edwards from Fort Worth will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, the Rangers could use a couple of slams. They trail by 7. It's 8-1 Seattle. Mitch Moreland to start things off against Joe Saunders. And Saunders nails down the outside corner with strike one. Mitch tonight is lined a single to left and then lined to right field for an out. Well, 1 for 2, that average at 270, as you can see. 1-1, laid off the breaking ball. Saunders retired the Rangers in order in the first inning, and since then it has been anything but orderly for him. 2-1, but he has kept the Rangers for the most part off the board.
Yeah, he's kept them from scoring when they've had men in position.
Into the wide, the 2-1 pitch. 3-1. Well, Moreland trying to get aboard to start things here in the Rangers' 6th inning. He'll be followed by Jurickson Profar. Three-one pitch. Like he took a little something off the fastball, just maybe a batting practice speed fastball, and got a foul tip. That fills the count to Moreland. Mitch back in. Left-hander Saunders to the plate. Got him swinging. So strikeout number 4 for Saunders. One away. Jurickson Profar coming up. It's time for a Mazda game break again. Here is John Radigan. Profar making the first pitch low for ball 1. Jurickson 0 for 1 officially, a strikeout. Last time up he was hit by a pitch. Jurickson got on with 1 out in the Ranger 4th inning. He got as far as 3rd, but Rangers could get him no further. Profar hitting at 255, as you can see. Saunders back to him. 2-1. Jurickson last 24 ball games hit 208 with a couple of 4 RBI, I should say, and a couple of home runs. But that has dropped his average from what was the 370 level down to its present 255. People making adjustments to him, and now it's up to him to make adjustments to what he sees. The 2-2 pitch. Good job there of taking the ball the other way. Profar with a base hit.
Very good job. You got that changeup up and away from Profar. He waited on it nice and drove it into right field. It's a good job of hitting. Oh, a breaking ball, maybe. Might have been a breaking ball. Let's take a look. Like the ball that just hung up out over the plate.
Well, that is the 8th base hit for the Rangers tonight. A 1-out single here in the 6th inning. It brings up David Murphy. Murphy's 1 for 2. And outside corner with that breaking ball. It's 0-1. Murphy, a ground ball to first, a single to center. A hard hit ball up the middle, flagged down nicely by Miller. On to first, the 6-3 double play. And again, the Rangers come up just a little short. Hard hit balls, but nothing going. 1 hit, nobody left. On to the 7th, 8-1 Seattle. Not much Ranger scoring. Kendricks Morales, 2 home runs and 6 RBI for Seattle. So he has accounted for 6 of the 8 runs that the Mariners have scored. Justin Grimm, a short outing tonight, 4 innings, 6 runs, 5 of them earned on 7 hits and 3 home runs.
And Morales came into the game hitting under 200 for 70 or 80 at bats. He's gotten hot tonight.
Kind of got healthy here this evening.
Did.
Kyle Seager leading things off against Ross Wolf and makes the pitch high for ball 1. Seager 2 for 3, a single, a double. He's also scored a run. Hitting at 272 for the year. Wolf back to the plate. Hitting. Fastball boring right in on Seager, and it's got him as he turned into the pitch.
Well, Ross got the first 5 guys, and since then he hasn't gotten anybody. Got an out on the bases, but it's been 3 hits, a walk, and a hit by pitch. The first 5 went easy. Next 5 have been a little tougher. We get a quick ground ball double play right here. Wash is looking for Ross to go as far in this game as he can to avoid having to use any of the bullpen.
Justin Smoke, the hitter, 0 for 2. Mixed in a walk in between a ground out and a fly ball to left. DeMorland, he steps on the bag, on down to second. The tag it's missed by Elvis. He missed the ball. He had the tag down, but he forgot to take the ball with it. Now, the throw was where it had to be on the shortstop side of the bag, but Elvis tried to make that quick swipe tag, and he couldn't corral the ball beforehand.
Mitch gets 1 for sure, and now you have to tag him. And Elvis was going to have to make a quick tag. He tried to make it a little bit too quick.
Looked like Mitch might have thrown a changeup down there to him and never.
Had a pretty good movement on it.
Mitch, of course, a former closer in college, and that might have been his good moving changeup.
Well, Mitch had to keep it on that side to avoid hitting the runner. Seager got down to second base quickly too, so Elvis didn't have a lot of time to catch that and make the tag.
Well, it just goes down as a 3 unassisted in the put out at first. No error charged at second base. And Smoke takes, I should say, Ackley takes a strike. It is 1-1. Ackley, that RBI double in the 4th. He is 1 for 3 officially tonight. Seager, the runner at second, as Wolf checks him. And a little tapper headed back to the mound. Wolf, quick throw to first. And out is Ackley. On to third goes Seager. He's there with 2 outs now. And Zunino coming up. Hey, baseball fans, Metro PCS wants to send you on a VIP flyaway experience with your home team in L.A. Register at MetroPCSFlyaway.com or at participating locations for your chance to win. Two away, Zunino is 0 for 3 tonight. He is flied out, grounded out, and lined out. 1 ball, no strikes. Zunino been up for a little bit over a half a month. He came up on the 11th of June. And he gets a base hit to left field. That'll score Seager. And Mike Zunino with his 3rd Major League RBI. And he makes it a 9-1 Seattle lead.
First spot, Brad Miller.
Zunino getting that pitch down on the inner part of the plate, able to get the head of the bat through it. Drives in the run, and now Brad Miller will come up for his 4th at bat of the night. Miller 0 for 3. And a strike on the outside corner from Wolf. And getting some action now in the bullpen. Josh Lindblom, who just joined the club today, taking the place of Kyle McClellan, who was designated for assignment.
Josh has been up a couple of times to make a start. He's up to join the bullpen.
1-1 the count to Miller.
Miller, one of those rare hitters that doesn't use a batting glove. Most hitters use 2. A lot of guys use 1, at least 1 on the bottom hand. Goes up there without any. Throwback. What in the world did they ever do without batting gloves? Just have a lot of sore hands.
Yeah.
A lot of calluses, a lot of blisters. And when you got hit off the end of the bat or the handle, you had some bone bruises.
The line drive, base hit to right field. The second base, Zunino, he's making the turn, going to third. The throw coming all the way through, but Belter able to get to it before Miller can take the extra base. So back-to-back 2-out singles. Runners now at first and third for Endy Chavez.
Well, Miller ripped that ball into right field. Came into the game only hitting 182. He's hit a couple of balls hard today. That one also lined out to right field.
Now home plate umpire Chad Fairchild going to go out and see if he can't break up the conference between A.J. Przinsky and Ross Wolf. Przinsky under orders to go out there and take a little extra time. You've seen Josh Lindblom getting ready. And it looks like they're going to go ahead and let Wolf pitch to Chavez. Endy 1 for 4 tonight, a single and a run scored. Runners at the corners. That first pitch is low for ball 1. Chavez at 272 with the average. Zunino at third, Miller at first. And the pitch gets away from Przinsky and not far enough to allow Zunino to try and score, but it did get Miller into scoring position down at second on the wild pitch. Sometimes you can do everything right and not have it work out for you. AJ did everything pretty well to block that ball, but it scooted off to the side. A rip and a miss by Chavez. It's 2-1. Well, Ranger fans will remember, Endy Chavez does not take a little man's cut.
No, he doesn't.
He lets that thing go. Wolf set the 2-1. Elvis gobbles up that ground ball onto Moreland. That will do it. But the Mariners put another on the board. They get a run on 2 hits and leave 2. Stretch time at the ballpark. The Mariners 9, the Rangers 1 on Fox Sports Southwest. brought to you by the all-new Mazda 6. When you change everything, you change everything. The Rangers would like to change that score around is what they'd like to change. 9-1, the Mariners leading as the Rangers come to bat in the bottom of the 7th inning. Leonis Martin facing Joe Saunders takes strike one.
Well, we mentioned that Saunders is not one in this ballpark and how the Rangers have knocked him around. He's pitching better today, but the Rangers have still had a lot of chances to score some runs. They've had one run, but with a hit here and there, it could have been a lot more. Saunders has made a lot of good pitches when he had to.
0-2 pitch.
Yep.
Pitch pretty good one right there.
Pitched around some jams today. 1 walk, 5 strikeouts now.
Second baseman, Ian Hensler.
Good pitch. 95 pitches for Saunders.
And we're just getting some action now going in the Mariner bullpen. So in support of Joe Saunders. One out. Here's Ian Kinsler for his 4th at bat of the night. Ian 1 for 2 officially, a single and a walk. Is also lined to short. 1-1 the count. Glanced out there at the bullpen. It looked like Medina was the one that was up and throwing. We'll get verification on that for you in a second. Seager picks it nicely at third and on across the diamond. That is out number 2. And that'll bring up Elvis Andrus. Folks, Rangers Ballpark is a place to be in July for spectacular fireworks shows. Fans celebrating Independence Day with the Rangers will be treated to a special post-game fireworks show on July 4th. Following the game against the Astros on the 5th of July, that's Friday, fans will enjoy fireworks shows set to Texas country music. Tickets are available for both games at TexasRangers.com. The 2 outs, bases empty here in the 7th inning. Elvis Andrus 1 for 3 with an RBI single. Elvis plating the only Ranger run of the game so far back in the 3rd inning. He takes outside and makes it 2 balls and no strikes. That the 100th pitch for Joe Saunders tonight. Left-hander comes to the plate again and fires a belt-high strike. It is 2-1. Don't forget now tomorrow night it'll be Derek Holland taking on Felix Hernandez, the middle game of this 3-game set. Gets out of plate on the right side. Ending on the big 4th of July contest. Rangers and Mariners will match it up. Martin Perez. It's his 4th start. He'll be opposed by Hisashi Iwakuma, and right-hander for the Seattle Mariners. 2-2 pitch, line to right center field. That's going to be down for a base hit. Elvis, a turn at first, will hang on with a 2-out single. No, a 2-out base hit gets Elvis aboard. Nelson Cruz coming up, and let's go to John Radigan with a Mazda game break once again. John. Thanks, John. I'm not sure the first two you mentioned would like to be in the same company, but that's all right.
Not easy to throw a no-hitter, let alone 2 of them. The second one validates the first one. It says that was no fluke.
Now he takes the pitch down and away. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Cruz tonight, a single and 3 trips.
The thing impressive about Homer Bailey tonight is the last 2 fastballs he threw, last 2 pitches that he threw were fastballs, 97 miles an hour on both of them. Well, he was airing it out to end that game. Wasn't trying to trick anybody. He was going for it.
That guy could air it out a little bit.
Sure could. You know, when Homer Bailey came into the draft, it was the same draft that Justin Verlander was drafted in. And there were a lot of scouts that liked Homer Bailey just as much as Justin Verlander.
Oh, look out, Joe Saunders. That ball got a pretty good piece of him and on into center field. Around to third goes Elvis. And Nelly Cruz with his second hit of the night. And Eric Wedge now going to go out and check on Saunders, at least check on him. He may bring him back.
Hit him right in the calf.
Left.
Hard hit ball up the middle. But Bailey, of course, was a high school pitcher. Verlander was a college pitcher, a little bit closer to the big leagues, maybe a little bit more dominating. But Homer Bailey was a high first-round pick, very highly touted coming out of high school. You're seeing why now.
Well, that's going to do it as Eric Wedge stood up. Don't need to see any more, Joe. You can go in and get some ice on that shin, and it'll be all better in your next start in 5 days. No, we got Medina coming on. A pitching change again underway here at Rangers Ballpark. The Mariners leading 9-1. We'll be right back on Fox Sports Southwest. Only $11 in offer savings of up to 50%. Group pricing is available in 7 different seating locations. Plus the all-new, all-inclusive center field railing. Learn more about the group savings offered for every Ranger home game at TexasRangers.com. Now Eric Wedge has turned the game over to 24-year-old right-hander Yoelvis Medina. He's facing Adrian Beltre. Rangers have also made a change at first, the pinch hitter, the pinch runner. Angel Beltre is now taken over at first for Nelly Cruz. There are the numbers on Medina for you, his 29th appearance of the year. Pitch outside, it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, the Mariners have a lot of guys in their bullpen that throw mid-90s or higher. A lot of them don't have great stats, but they can throw hard. And most of them have a lot of strikeouts. Medina does have pretty good numbers. Strikeout per inning, 2.76 ERA.
We got Elvis over at third base, and there's Angel Beltre, the pinch runner, at first now. Rangers with 10 hits tonight. They're trailing 9-1 in the run column. And that breaking ball gets Adrian off the plate a little bit and catches the inside corner. It's 2-2. Medina, 6'3" right-hander. He goes about 245 pounds. He's out of Venezuela. Swung on and missed. That ball gets back to the backstop. Down to score is Andrus. The throw to first, not in time. Beltre is aboard. And the Rangers make it a 9-2 Mariner lead on the strikeout and either pass ball or wild pitch. Let's see what the official score says about that, but the Rangers do have the run.
Ball had a lot of movement on it, boy. That just kind of ate up the catcher, Zunino. Ball was going down and to Zunino's left and barely got a glove on it.
Well, that's going to be a strikeout pass ball. Not only did Adrian miss it, Mike Zunino missed it.
I can see why, the way that thing was nose diving.
Well, now runners at first and second are run across. Here's A.J. Brzezinski. Ball one is outside. A.J. tonight 0 for 3. Last time up, he grounded into that double play. He's hit the ball hard a couple of times. Beltre at second, Beltre at first. Chopper by Adrian Beltre, the runner at first, and Brzezinski is shot down. So the Rangers do get a run, though, on a couple of hits. They strand 2. We're going to the 8th inning. It's now the Mariners 9, the Rangers 2 on Fox Sports Southwest. Who the Rangers Player of the Month for June was, and nearly half of you, 49%, said Leonis Martin. 24% said Nelson Cruz. And it was Ian Kinsler, followed by Joe Nathan. Appreciate you participating in our very unscientific survey. There's Leonis. Now the Rangers get a run across, 9-2 the score now. Seattle leading as we go to the 8th inning, and Josh Lindblom, just recalled from AAA Round Rock, is on to take over on the hill.
Well, Josh has had several starts. Now he gets an opportunity to pitch out of the bullpen for the Rangers. Rangers looking for some good arms out in the bullpen that can add to the core guys out there. Core guys have had a lot of work out there. Rangers for a couple of weeks have played a lot of close games with a game on the line. You're the manager. You throw your best guys out there. I think it's important for Ron to find a couple of more guys out there that he's comfortable with that can come in and share the load and keep the other guys from having to pitch quite so often.
Robinson Chirinos now has come on to take over at third base for Adrian Beltre. And the next pitch to Nick Franklin, fouled out a play to the left. And the count is 0-2. And Angel Beltre, who took over as a pinch runner for Nelson Cruz, stays in the ballgame playing in right field. No balls, 2 strikes. Franklin tonight has singled twice and scored both times that he's reached. Big breaking ball, swung on and missed. And Franklin looking around and say, what was that?
That thing broke a lot.
Yeah. And Franklin looking around like he thought somebody picked his pocket.
Thought it was going to get there a little quicker than it did.
He had his focus on the ball to make sure he could see it still. No, one gone. Here's Raul Ibanez. And the breaking ball comes in the back door. It's strike 1. Ibanez 1 for 2 officially tonight. He has walked twice. He has scored a couple of runs. And he has hit his 20th home run of the year. 1-1. Mariners 9 runs on 12 hits. Rangers 2 runs on 10 hits. And Ibanez shoots one out to Ian Kinsler. He fires on to Moreland. That is out number 2. And Kendrys Morales will have an at-bat for the first time tonight with nobody on base. And as far as the Rangers are concerned, that's a good thing, because he has just torn it apart. Morales 3 for 4, a pair of home runs, and a 2-run single. 6 RBI tonight. Takes a strike from Josh Lindblom. Right-hander back to the plate. Tapper slowly hit to first, and Moreland will step on the bag, and that'll do it. Quick and tidy 1-2-3 inning for the Indiana native Josh Lindblom. Bottom of the 8th coming up. 9-2, the Mariners over the Rangers on Fox Sports Southwest.
Has to be 10-year-old Cade. He plays Little League ball for the Yardbirds, but a big night for him. Yard Dogs, sorry, Mom. Big night for you. What happened, Cade?
I saved up all my money to take my mom out here to the Ranger game.
There we go. Wanted to take Mom out for a little date tonight. Congratulations, Cade. There's a progressive bag. Congratulations. Anything you'd like to say?
Let's go Rangers.
There you go. Mom, do you have a good time?
Yes, I'm having a great time. Best date ever.
Just caught some cotton candy. Way to go, guys. All right, how about it, Cade? Fan of the game. Way to go, buddy.
What a nice boy. Of course, I guess if he didn't take his mom, he couldn't have got to the game himself.
Well, that's true.
That's very nice.
Oliver Perez, the side-arming left-hander, on now his 33rd appearance of the year. 31-year-old left-hander on here facing Mitch Moreland, Jurickson Profar, and David Murphy. Perez, a resurgence of sorts. He has really bounced back after a couple of difficult years for him. Finished up in the National League with the Mets. Up and down, had all kinds of arm problems. Back now, hooked on with Seattle last year. Worked in 33 games, and he's come all the way back this year. Really throwing the ball well.
A little bit of everything there. Spun his body around. Yeah, he's thrown 29 innings and struck out 43 batters.
A ball and 2 strikes to Mitch. Moreland 1 for 3 tonight. grounds one foul outside first. He'll come back and try it again. And a ball and 2 strikes. Oliver Perez originally came up in the San Diego system. He was with the Padres in 2002, 11 years ago. Came up as a 20-year-old. He's still dealing. And Moreland just gets a piece of it to stay alive. Originally a starter. Pitched with San Diego in parts of 02 and 03, and then went to the Pirates. Won as many as 15 games over the National League. That was with the Mets in 2007. Then the arm problem started getting inside. 2-2 to Moreland. Perez in the 2-2. Oh, Moreland just got underneath it a little bit. Towering fly ball. Stopping just in front of the warning track. Andy Chavez puts it away for out number 1. And boy, just the bottom of the ball a little bit. And your Subway box score tonight. The in-game box score will show you that a lot of hits for the Rangers, just not a lot of runs. The only starter that didn't have at least a hit, A.J. Przinsky, went 0 for 4, and he hit the ball right on the button a couple times. But it's been the inability of the offense tonight to put things together in a timely fashion to score the runs.
And Mitch has had some good at-bats tonight. He drilled that ground ball single into left. He lined out hard to right field on a curveball from a lefty. And as you said, Buzz, he just missed an upper deck shot with that curveball. It was 1 for 4 on the night, but 3 good at bats.
Jurickson Profar singled his last time up. He is 1 for 2 officially. And Perez ahead of the count quickly at 0-2. Jurickson a strikeout in the second. Hit by a pitch in the fourth, and then had that 1-out single in the sixth.
Well, Scott Feldman was scheduled to pitch against the A's tonight, but he won't be doing that. He got traded to the Orioles. A's have a lead against the Cubs in Oakland.
And Baltimore trying to shore up their starting rotation. It's interesting they've dealt Jake Arrieta as part of that package for Feldman to the Cubs. Kind of a change of scenery deal for Arrieta. TCU product. And at one point, the top pitching prospect for the Orioles. 0-2. Now 1-2. Perez, the 6'3" left-hander. He's about 218 pounds is what he's listed at. On the ground, right under the glove of Nick Franklin and into right center field. Well, a little loss of focus by Franklin. That is the first error of the game by the Mariners tonight.
Franklin's made 5 errors since he's been called up, but the people that travel with the Mariners have been very impressed by his play at second base. He just did what you tell a young player not to do. Don't lift your glove up too soon. He got it down. He just raised it up, expected a little hop, and the ball stayed down.
Now David Murphy, a wave and a miss. It's 0-1. So each club has an error tonight. Rangers and the Mariners both in the top half of the American League in fielding. Mariners came in with the 4th best fielding percentage. Rangers the 7th best. Check swing and the pitch low and away. It's 1-1 to Murph. Profar not being held on at first base with the one out here in the 8th inning. Now it's 1-2 to Murphy. It's really got to be tough for a hitter, especially a left-handed hitter, against a guy like Perez, giving you the back of his shirt to see, and then the ball probably looks like it comes out of his shoulder. Left-hander's ready. And just missed with the fastball. 94, and he was trying to paint the outside corner. 2-2. Perez okays the sign. And Murphy able to stay alive there. Check one foul.
David's had good at-bats against lefties tonight, too. He's hit the ball hard. Got a line shot up the middle. And a hard hit ball into a double play, too. Smashed to shortstop. Miller made a great play on it.
He lays off that breaking ball, and the count has gone full. Well, Murph trying to get aboard with one out. Profar at first. Leonis Martin swinging a bat in that on-deck circle. Perez sets the payoff pitch. The second for one, the return in time. The third double play turned by Seattle tonight. Rangers are gone in the 8th inning. There was one error and nobody left. We're going to the 9th. 9-2 Seattle on Fox Sports Southwest.
Two as we head to the 9th. John Radigan here in the Captain Morgan Club getting ready for Rangers Live, presented by Esurance. Mark McLemore will join me. Lots to discuss and dissect about this game. We'll hear from Ron Washington and Justin Grimm. We will also hear from Homer Bailey, who became just the 27th pitcher to have 2 no-hitters in his career. We hear from him and have the whole post-game show right after the game. Guys, back up to you.
All right, John, thank you. Now, top of the 9th inning has arrived, and Josh Lindblom back out to the mound. He will take on Kyle Seager to start things off. Mariners leading 9-2, and Seager takes high for ball 1. Mariner third baseman tonight, 2 for 3, as you can see. Singled and doubled in his first 2 times up there, and Simpson is grounded out and was hit by a pitch last time up. Really want to do it. Couldn't stop his swing, though. It's 1 ball and 1 strike.
But they have to look at, try to find a silver lining to a loss tonight. I guess it might be one more day off for the bullpen. Yesterday was an off day. Today, most of the guys out there won't pitch. That'll give them at least, most of them, a couple of days, some of them 3 days off, which might be a nice shot in the arm as you go to the last week or 10 days before the All-Star break, when you'll get a bunch of days off.
2-1 pitch. It's 2-2. Lindblom has retired the first 3 that he's faced. Trying to get Seager here to start the 9th inning. Swing and a foul tip into the glove of A.J. Przinsky. And that is the second strikeout for Lindblom.
Good assortment of off-speed pitches from Josh tonight. Pitched to 4 batters, struck a couple of them out. And that good overhand curveball, the same one that befuddled Nick Franklin.
Oh, 1 away. Now Justin Smoke will step to the plate. Smoke 0 for 3 officially. He's grounded out a couple of times, flied out, and also mixed in a walk. Smoke at 241, as you can see, with the average, a switch hitter. Batting lefty against the right-hander Lindblom. He takes a strike. It is 0-1. Lindblom working quickly back to the plate. And Smoke shoots one foul. No balls and 2 strikes. Smoke now and currently riding an 0 for 6 streak. Make that 0 for 7. Pulls another one foul.
That slow curveball is just tough to wait for, especially, you know, in relief when you probably only going to see Josh 1 time. It's very tough to zero in on it. If you face him in a game and you see him 3 or 4 times, maybe you're able to wait on it. When you haven't seen him much and you're seeing him for the first time, very difficult to wait on that slow curveball.
Again, the 0-2. Is it tougher when you only see a guy 1 time to adjust to a guy that throws really hard or that has an odd pitch? Like
I think it's the odd pitch, personally. I think, you know, if a guy's just a hard thrower throwing, you know, 95 miles an hour, you might not be able to hit him, but there's not much secret what you have to do up there. You know, you have to be quick, and you can look for a fastball. But a guy with a slow curveball like that to me is more difficult. Most hitters can hit a fastball, otherwise you wouldn't be in the big leagues. But there aren't many hitters that you would say that guy's a really good breaking ball hitter. There are some, but I think most guys struggle with a good breaking ball.
Well, it's a good thing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to get anybody to pitch.
Otherwise, everybody hit 400.
Yeah, Smoke drops one in down the right field line, and he's going to motor into second. Angel Beltre in to dig that out of the corner, and Smoke with the 1-out double is at second now for Dustin Ackley.
I think a reliever with a good splitter is very difficult to hit.
Smoke with his first hit of the night. That's the 13th hit for the Mariners. Dustin with his 8th double, as you saw. Dustin Ackley has a double in 4 trips. Getting the start at center, and Mariner aficionados wondering what in the world Ackley's doing playing center field. You know, when he was sent out earlier in the year, and Franklin brought up, he decided that Ackley was probably not the better second baseman of the two, so they said, go ahead and move him to center field at AAA and let's see what he does down there. And he played pretty well in center field, and Mariners had a need once Franklin Gutierrez was not going to come back off the DL. Brought Ackley up, and he's played a little bit of center field for him. I don't think the Mariners by any means are ready to give up on Dustin Ackley as a player. They're just going to have to find the right spot for him and get his offense turned back around.
Yeah, there's too many highly touted guys that come into professional baseball as a high draft choice, especially a college kid where you've got a little bit more of an idea about him than you would a younger high school player. There's a lot of them who have gotten to the big leagues quickly, maybe not gotten a lot of minor league at bats, struggle initially, And I agree, you can't give up on those kind of kids. If the scouts really like them, you trust your scouts and what they thought about them. And then it's just up to the organization to show patience, because a lot of times he might not bloom quickly, but as a late bloomer, he becomes a very good player. Not everybody just blossoms right off the bat when they get to the big leagues. It's not that easy. There's some that do, and they're the exception. A lot of guys take more time. Nowadays, as early as a lot of these kids get to the big leagues, they're not quite ready. And if you form your opinions on them based on what you see early, you can make a mistake.
And don't you need to find out for each individual where the best place for him to develop his tools is? I mean, you know, most guys it's in the minor leagues.
I think it's rare for the best place to be the big leagues, to be honest with you. Again, sometimes it happens where a kid comes up and it happens fairly quickly. But more often than not, in my opinion anyway, it's best for kids to develop with kids their own age, come up through the minor league system one step at a time. I think that's the best way. If you want to talk in generalities, there's obviously exceptions to that rule and guys that are on the fast track and can do it that way. But for the most part, coming up one step at a time is the best way to develop.
Chirinos on order first, and that'll do it. So the one-out double by Smoke, no damage. No runs a hit, one left. Bottom of the ninth inning coming up here at Arlington. Mariners 9, the Rangers 2 on Fox Sports Southwest. Is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealer. By AT U-Burst TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIT-ATT. Rethink possible. And by Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. Now we move on to the bottom of the ninth inning. Tom Wilhelmsen, the closer for the Mariners, on here to get an inning of work. Fedora night, Loops Fedora night at Rangers Ballpark, and hopefully they'll turn into Loops Rally Fedoras. Here's Tom Wilhelmsen, his 35th appearance of the year. 27 strikeouts and 34 innings. And a base hit on the first pitch by Leonis Martin. And Martin continuing to swing that hot bat. His second hit of the night.
That was a rope. Seen some hard hit balls in the game tonight. Martin with a bunt single. Stole a base and scored, and now a rope up the middle. 2 for 4 on the night. He came into the game hitting 293. Going to be flirting with a 300 mark right now.
One on, nobody out. Here's Ian Kinsler, who is 1 for 3. Also has a walk. Big breaking ball. He settles low for ball one. He in a third inning single, a fourth inning walk. Those were in between a line drive to short and a ground ball to second. Wilhelmsen firing a fastball in there about thigh high. It is 1-1. Rangers need a bunch of base runners here in the ninth inning. Got their first with Martin at first. The line drive pulled foul down the left side. He didn't really get the good part of the bat on that ball. And we'll come back and try it at 1-2. Kind of had that thud to it. More traditional rally cap. The ball and 2 strikes. Now 2-2. And untraditional.
Everybody's trying that.
Yeah. Insler drive to left center field. Moving into the gap, Ibanez and Ackley. And Raul Ibanez cuts in front of Ackley to make the catch. Back to first goes Leonis Martin. That is out number 1.
Generally, you won't see the left fielder go that far into center field and take a ball away from the center fielder. And I guess what you wonder then is Ackley calling for the ball. Doesn't look like it. And the left fielder is taught to go after everything he can get until he's called off. I'm not sure Ackley ever called for that ball. So that's what happens.
Big breaking ball drops in to Elvis Andrus. Elvis a couple of hits tonight. And average now to 246. Well, the Rangers shortstop also has an RBI and a run scored. Another breaking ball. It's very quickly 0-2. Zunino flashing the signs out. Wilhelmsen ready. A ball and 2 strikes. Leonis Martin at first. 11 hits now for the Rangers. Only 13 for the Mariners, but they've made theirs count. It's way outside. It's 2-2.
The Rangers, I believe, all singles.
That would be correct. Yep. And ball 3. So Elvis working the count full, at least making Wilhelmsen have to work harder here in the ninth inning. Eric Wedge would love to see us closer, get out of this thing with 15 pitches or less, but he's going to have a hard time doing that now. Line drive to the shortstop. No, he's not. The double play takes care of it. And the rocket to short. And Miller turns it into a 6-3 double play. And that will do it. Well, Wilhelmsen on one pitch gets the final 2 outs of the game. And Elvis hits a rocket, but befittingly for tonight, it ends the ball game with the double play.
I'll tell you what, the Rangers only scored 2 runs tonight, but they hit the ball harder than 2 runs. There must have been 6 balls hit right on the button that were caught. They couldn't get a big hit with men in scoring position early, so it goes down as only 2 runs. But 11 hits, most of them were hard hit singles, and a number of balls that were hard hit outs.
So 9-2 the final. Rangers lose the first of 3, and they'll have to bounce back tomorrow against Felix Hernandez. John and Mac will be back to wrap things up for you right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.